Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi, and Mississippi for that matter, such a great place to live, work, and play. Hey, listen, it's Friday. It's Jeff Duncan Day. And like he's done the last couple of years, the Zurich Classic is going on in New Orleans. So he's actually joining us from the golf course as we speak. But let me first just say good morning to my friend, Jeff Duncan. How you doing, buddy?
Morning, Ricky. It's a beautiful day out here at the Zurich Classic, and looking forward to a great.
Yeah, I know you are. So, hey, give a review. First of all, today's an interesting day. We'll talk about specifically what happens today. But there are some world-class golfers there this year.
Yeah, they've got a tremendous field again. 9 of the top 20 players in the world, including 6 of the top 7 from last week's tournament, the RBC Heritage and Hilton. Among the kind of star-studded cast is, Colin Morikawa, Fitzpatrick, defending U.S. Open champion. It's can compete with any of the non-designated events in the country. There's a new designation on the PGA Tour right now: designated events, elevated events, and this one falls right on the heels of a couple of elevated events, obviously, and the RBT Heritage. So it's definitely something the PGA Tour's got to figure out, affect the field here. And I think this first year as PGA Tour players, which events they're going to play, which ones they have to play, it's going to be a little bit of a Rubik's Cube. Players are going to arrive at each event.
Yeah, I can see that. You've previously expressed your concerns about this whole notion of undesignated and designated, this notion of maybe the haves and the have-nots, and that the best players may start to gravitate toward those designated events, so to speak. That is not the case, though, in New Orleans this weekend. And I, by the way, I just wanted to tell our radio audience, bear with us. Jeff may fade in and out a little bit at times. You can get the basic message that he's trying to communicate. He's actually at the media center. You can imagine the number of media who are there and the pressure on their Wi-Fi. But it's gonna they're gonna. I wonder actually, Jeff, when they decided this whole notion of designated and undesignated, if they realized they were going to be putting some courses, some events on the outside looking in.
Well, I think for the PGA Tour officials, trying to compete with the LIV Tour, and they're trying to, improve the fields, and obviously trying to attract the top players that are on the tour to the event. So it's to figure out. It's the first year they've done it, so I really think it's a lot of trial and error, and as we get further into it, as PGA Tour officials kind of see the pros and cons.
So as you and I have discussed in the past, the course there, the players enjoy coming to New Orleans. As we have discussed, it's a sort of a social situation. They enjoy going out and eating dinner. They play in teams. Course is a very special course. They like coming to New Orleans, don't they?
Yeah, who doesn't, right, Ricky?
Yeah.
It's one of the calling cards of the event. The team format's unique tour, so that in itself attracts a lot of players. Yesterday, the podium, they like coming. It's a little bit of a break for them from the daily of the PGA Tour, where you're playing by yourself. This time, this event, you get to share some of the pressure, the competition with a teammate. And it's a little looser. And of course, the world-class nightlife here. Players can get off the course, get out, enjoy the city, and still get to bed in time to get up for an early tee time. So it works out really well.
Well, thanks for bearing with us as we have Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. He's actually at the Zurich Classic over in New Orleans and at the golf course in the media center, and slightly fading Wi-Fi, but enough. It's a little bit disrupted, but I can definitely capture the overall message. You mentioned Morikawa, and there are others there, but man, who are you picking as a winner this year?
Well, it'd be hard to go against, Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay. They're both top 10 players in the world. Wire last year, and they certainly enter this event as the favorites against them.
Yeah, so I mentioned about the course there, but everything I'm reading about the course is in really good shape.
Oh my gosh, it's the best I've ever seen it, Ricky. Replanted about 600 trees that were all wiped out by Hurricane Ida, and the course is really starting to grow back in. They kind of strategically placed trees before, and the greens and the fairways look immaculate. It's the best I've seen it in a long time, and insane.
It was, New Orleans is lucky to have a TPC course, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get these, and it's hard to find land in New Orleans. Candelario basically carved out this cypress swamp way back when. Somewhat controversial because of the, obviously the protected area, that it was simply was no other place to have this big a tract of land to put this course in, and it's perfect home for the PGA Tour. You have to have. It's not. I mentioned earlier, there's a lot goes on in an event like this. There's, VIP, all kinds of food catering. You have to have a big enough footprint to have stadium seating. Really, this and the English Tournament really the only courses in the New Orleans metro area that could.
So we were expecting to get a little bit of rain tonight. Any concerns about how that will affect the course over the weekend?
No, most of the rain they're going to get is going to be overnight, so it should actually help for these guys. They can fire at the pins at will. So I don't think it's going to be fortunate. I mean, this is one of the few years, Ricky, where they're not competing against Jazz Fest. The first time I've ever covered the Zurich that you haven't had the Jazz Fest and the NFL Draft. So it should really clear the way for them to have huge attendance. I expect them to this week with people getting out to the course.
Yeah, that actually will be interesting to see because there've been I remember over the years there've been good crowds from time to time, but you're not you don't typically see this event as being one where you have literally the huge crowds you normally would have at a PGA event, and what you just pointed out with having to compete with Jazz Fest, that's pretty serious competition in terms of the mountains of people.
Yeah, it's actually a benefit and a little bit of a detriment if you talk. Steve Worthy, of course, Zurich is the title sponsor here. This is their, one of the. They bring in all their top sponsors and clients themselves, and they like having Jazz Fest because it gives their clients on another day as well as coming out to the golf tournament for Zurich. But this year it's not the case. I imagine a lot of them are going to just stay in town. Jazz Fest next week.
Yeah, I actually, interestingly, just side note, I had the opportunity to catch up with our friend David Francis, who we worked with at NOLA.com and Times-Picayune. They're doing really well. That team is doing really well. But he talked about how, his continued involvement in Jazz Fest. He's really enjoyed doing that. But what a pinnacle event that is for the city. And I get what you're saying. When Zurich brings their clients in, to have them have the opportunity to spend some time at the course and then go watch some of the best acts in the world at the Jazz Fest, it makes for a great weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of people have wondered, and I'm writing about this next week, about the NFL draft, because it's now around the different cities kind of bid out like a Super Bowl, wondering why New Orleans is the NFL draft. Well, this is why. We got a busy time of year on the New Orleans calendar with this week. Jazz Fest coming up, and then you got the Zurich Classic, so really creates to host something like the NFL Draft with hotel occupancy at almost 100%, and it would almost be impossible for New Orleans to host that event.
Yeah, there's literally no doubt about that. Hey, so Jeff, I think what we'll do, because we've been fading in and out, we've gotten a good report from you today. We'll probably just go ahead and call it off and I'll move on to the next guest. But I really appreciate you coming in and visiting with us today.
Yeah, anytime, guys, and we'll talk next.
Yeah, we'll talk.
NFL Draft Day next week.
Yeah, no doubt. All about the draft next week. Hey, this has been Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com live from the Zurich Classic in the Media Center. Again, a little bit of fading in and out, but overall, we got the good message about what the Zurich Classic is to the city and these great golfers, world-class golfers that are in the city as we speak. Be interesting to watch your coverage as you continue to spend some time there, Jeff. So have a great day, and we'll see you after this break with Rob Ziegler. See you after this.